everyone, Kristina Werner here with another video for assignments@stamp.com. Today I'm going to be using the Look for the Miracle stamp set that came in the latest card kit. Starting out with some black cardstock, and I've cut that cardstock to 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall. And I'm using the new Simon Says Stamp clear ink that's meant for embossing or watermarking on this stamp, and then pressing that down onto the black cardstock. I did prep the cardstock with a powder tool before stamping, and that will prevent this embossing powder from sticking to areas where I don't want it. This is some Hero Arts white embossing powder, sprinkling that on, and then I'll shake off the excess. I then used my heat tool to heat set it until it was nice and smooth and shiny. I then took some additional stamps from the stamp set and used that same clear ink to add sort of like some floral elements hugging the bottom of the card and coming up around those words. So I used a bunch of different stamps from the stamp set, some flowers, the large stem of leaves, this smaller stem of leaves, and some smaller flowers, until I had a nice arrangement of all of those elements kind of around the words. So now I'm going to go ahead and put on some clear embossing powder. This is clear embossing powder from Ranger. And I'm going to sprinkle this on, and some of the places where I've been holding the cardstock with my fingers, so the powder is going to stick to that because of the oils on my hands. So I'll go ahead and clean that off in a minute here. I'm just sprinkling on more of that clear embossing powder. And then I can take a small paintbrush. It's completely dry, there's nothing on it. And I will wipe away any of those areas where I didn't want the embossing powder. So little areas where I may have touched the cardstock. Then used my heat tool to heat set the clear embossing powder until it was completely melted. Now I did want to mention you have to be careful with the clear embossing powder because it can look clear but it's not entirely melted. So for large areas like this especially, look over all of the embossing powder and make sure that there are no granules left behind. I'm now going to use 4 different colors of Perfect Pearls pigment powder, and I'm going to be using the first color, and it's just gold. And then the purple I'm using is called Grape Fizz. The green is Mint, and then the white is Perfect Pearl. And I'm going to be adding water to these powders and I'm going to paint with them. So I put them into this little palette here, and then I'm taking some droplets of water, and I added probably about 3 to each one in the end. And that seemed to be about the perfect amount of water for these small containers. Now, in hindsight, if I was to do this again, I probably wouldn't have used as much powder because I had quite a bit left over, and you can't really use this because once it's dried out, it's kind of permanent. You can't re-wet it. Did also want to mention specifically with this Perfect Pearls powder, this is a powder that has medium in it that sticks to the paper when it's activated with water. So it's going to be completely permanent on the paper once it's dry. It's not going to smudge off or come off on your fingers or anything like that. Pearl-Ex powder does not have a binder in it. So you do have to add a binder to that to make it stick to things that you're using it with. But Perfect Pearls does have a binder, so it doesn't have that problem at all. So by adding some water to this, it becomes a permanent paint, which is really kind of cool. So I'm just painting this on with this paintbrush here. Did all the green first, and then I'm going to do a bunch of gold. And I'm doing each color kind of in segments so that I don't have to clean off my brush too often. So I'm adding lots more gold in some of those areas. The clear embossing powder resists any of the paint on top, so it pushes it away, and you can paint directly over those areas and you won't have any problem. So I'm going to go ahead and paint all the white areas, and I'm going to fill in those areas on the petals of the leaves and also the borders until everything is filled in. And this has beautiful shine and shimmer. It's kind of a really fun product to use. Now, if you want to use this product without water, you could stamp with Versamark ink and then sprinkle on the powder, and you can kind of rub off the excess, and you have just where it was stamped. That's kind of a cool technique too. I find that doesn't stay as permanently as if when you use water. It sometimes smudges off on my fingers. So I really like to use Perfect Pearls in this way by painting with it. I'm prepping my card base here. This is some Nina Desert Storm cardstock, and it's the 100-pound version. I'm adding some Tombow Extreme adhesive on the back of that painted cardstock piece, and then I'll press that down directly onto the card front. To finish off the card, I'm just going to round the top corners with my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper. I'm using the 1/2-inch corner rounder. And that finishes the card for today. It has a really beautiful shine to it. That pearlescent texture is really beautiful, especially over black. I think it really shines and makes the colors really pop off the page. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see all the supplies used in this video, please head over to the Simon Says Stamp blog. And thank you so much for watching.